right. Good evening. Dave Wilson of the Ring of Hire Show. Hey everybody. It's great. I love doing this show here and I have Sergeant First Class Jessie Rogers back. How you doing, Sergeant Rogers?
How you doing, Mr. Dude? Thank you for having me back.
Yeah, that was really a great show that we did. And we also have another Staff Sergeant, Salaz, down here, right down below there. How you doing,
Yes,
Sergeant?
sir. Thanks for having us today. It's my first time in your show, so let's get it.
Oh, I love it. And the show tonight, everybody, it's really meant for. We are going to hit between the reserves and the armies and regular army and a lot of different questions, and we're going to try to get to from the beginning to the end. So everybody knows the drill. We'll be right back after this video. All right, I still love that video. No matter, I feel like I'm like ready to rock it out when that thing plays all the time. I like to start out tonight the show. Sergeant Rogers, if you want to introduce yourself and what you do, and then we're going to go down below here.
Absolutely. Thank you, David. So I'm Star First Class Rogers. I am an Army reservist who is currently on active guard reserve for the last 10 years. I joined in 2009 as a combat engineer and just walked in and said, hey, I want some school money and start off life. I did it to impress a girl. Worked out. She's my wife today, 17 years later. Uh,
Right.
uh, we end up having four beautiful children. Of course, got the dog and the whole picture frame. So as I finished out my education, I decided that I wanted to go active duty, and the Army offered me to become a recruiter in 2017. I was blessed enough to be the top recruiter for 3 years in a row, and then I got to move to Colorado. What's cool about the Army, you get to choose. A lot of places that you go, you have impact, and so I went there to give my family experience, and now I'm here in Pennsylvania and running it another time.
And you got 17 years, right?
So I'm running on 17 years, absolutely.
All right, wow. And then Sergeant Salas, if you want to introduce yourself.
Absolutely. So, esta Sergeant Salas. Basically, I joined the Army straight from Puerto Rico, as you see my strong accent. My first language is Spanish. So, basically, I joined the Army in 2017. As you know, Puerto Rico is an island in the Caribbean. So, we got a lot of hurricanes. In 2017, fortunately, my restaurant was one of the restaurants that was impacted by the hurricane. So, I had to find ways to support my family. I looked to the Army because my grandfather was a retired sergeant major. Always look to it like, okay, it's something that hopefully, right, can help out, work out. And then I did it. I joined afterwards. I've been 8 years in the Army right now. I just hit 8 years in September. I've been doing a lot of different things. I actually active duty. I was then stationed for Bragg when I did 7 years there. I was in the 82nd, part of the 82nd AA family. And then I went to Special Force Group as a support. My MOS is 92 Alpha, which is logistic. And now the Army say, San, can you do something different? I say, well, let's do it. They send me to recruiter. I say, let me go to Tampa. They say, no, we're going to Pennsylvania. So I'm here. Um, Great story that I have that impact my life. My son just joined the Army, and I had the opportunity to
Nice.
put him in the Army. Even better, he just graduated from basic training. And I'm here for the good times, taking over the top recruiter here, taking over San Rogers right now. Trying to follow his steps, and here I am.
Well, Sergeant Rogers doesn't know it yet, but he's going to be getting my soon-to-be 16-year-old son. We're going to be coming down in about. He gets his license next month, so we're going to be coming down because I told him, I was in the Army. Of course, you can see that, and my whole family, Army, Navy, Air Force, and Marines. My father dropped us off right outside 2 months before graduation. He said, "I'll wait." that was it. So you didn't really have a choice. So I'm really trying to get my son, even with college and all that, to go in. But when you have your wife, she's like saying no, 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 and I'm hoping that Sergeant Rogers there can do a little convincing. It's going to be a family meeting, so I'm looking forward to that. But tonight, what I love about this show is it really, you're real. This is real recruiters from the Army. This is what I love about it. And I want to start out tonight, Sergeant Rogers, if you could talk about the reserves and what the reserves is. And then Sergeant Salas, if you could talk about full-time Army and a little bit of the difference of what he says.
Awesome. I'll take start. Thank you, David, again for the platform. So the Army Reserves, it's kind of like when you tiptoe your toe into the pool before you jump in. You just want to get a little wet to see if it's going to be too cold for you. So it's a part-time gig. You do 1 week in a month, 2 weeks in the summer. You still got to go basic training AIT, and AIT is your job training, right? And that's so you decided to be IT. I guess that's the big in today's world, And so you go and you learn how to be a soldier during basic training, and then during your job training, you learn that specific field that you chose, and then you get to come back and they help you get a job in a career field you want to be in. So it's a kind of like a career reinforcement or support to your main objective of what you want to do in the civilian world. Then when you come back, you will be obligated again to that 1 week in a month, 2 weeks in the summer. While you're doing it, the reason people choose this route is, of course, that pays for college. You get your college funds, and I'm sure we'll dive more into that here shortly. Right. Yep. Then you get your additional certifications. For example, if someone chose IT, they get your AAA plus secure network security, and then, of course, your CCNA. I had to write it down right here just because it's a little bit out of my field. But you get those because in those fields, it's about your certifications and what you know, and then your experience. And then after that, you just pretty much do your obligation 1 week in a month, 2 weeks in the summer. And that's the beginning of all that information.
We used to like the guys that did that. When we had the guys that were there, we had reserve guys too, and we all envied them because they were going home. Like, you're going home, And Sergeant Laws, if you could talk about regular what the full time is.
So basically, like he said, right, there's a difference, right? Full time. So you get to travel different places because now you are not in that corner in the reserve. They stay most likely in the states that you were enlisted for, and in the active duty world, you're gonna do your training. You go to basic training, 10 weeks, knock that out, go to your AIT, learn your job, and then right out the door, you're gonna go and sign a duty station, whether it's CONUS, which is like in the United States, or you get stationed in Alaska, Hawaii. I got a guy, he just got back from training. He's going to Germany. Single soldier, he's going to live the dream. And that's what we do every day, right? You're going to do your job. You're going to have your job. You basically show up to formation at 6:30 a.m. of the units. They get you to have accountability, do a good workout, go home, shower, get back 9:30 a.m., get your job done, get lunch, go back to work. And basically, most of the units reach you by 4, 5 p.m. Depends on the mission, right? You got long days, you got short days. It just depends. You got Saturdays and Sunday off, like any other job, and you got 4-day weekends. Like I've been telling guys, like I had a restaurant before. I had to be 24/7 in my restaurant. That's the way it is in the civilian side, right? Now, since I joined the Army, I barely work more than 9 months. That's what I do. Like I take vacations. I take a lot of 4-day weekends, which every holiday the Army gonna give you. Whether it's a Monday or Friday, whatever is the day of the holiday, they're going to accompany with the other day off. Right. They call it training holiday. So you do whatever you want. You put a pass, you go to Hawaii, you come back. 4 days for me is enough. Sometimes I need more, then I put leave. You got 30 days every year. That's what you accumulate, right? 30 days. Not only that, you also have emergency leave, which basically covers the whole picture of if you got an emergency, I have to leave right now, I'm leaving. I go to Red Cross. The Army gave me 10 days to take care of that. Also, you get the GI Bill. That's a big benefit that you get for the active duty. You also get that in the reserve, with that disclaimer. But in the active duty, you get it right away, but you cannot use it until 3 years of service. So what's going to happen
is that the minimal for regular now? Is it 3 or 4?
3 years is for the GI Bill. That's not minimum contract 2 years, right? But for be able to use the GI Bill, you got to be 3 years at least.
But is that the minimal to start in the regular Army now? Is it, do you have to sign up for 4 years minimal for full time?
So there is a contract that you can do nowadays. They change. It's a new thing now. You can do 2 years contract, right?
Wow.
2 years. it is available for certain jobs. Obviously, plus training wise, right? You got to do training as well. So to add like a 2 years and 36 weeks, depending on the training. Most of the times, I would recommend always do 3 years because you
Right.
got the GI Bill and you can use it. If you want to stay in the army, cool. You stay in the army after 3 years, you can transfer that GI Bill to your children. That's what I did.
Okay.
And
Sergeant
now you can
Rogers.
be entitled. They not only pay for the college, but they also
Right.
pay for your housing, depending on the cost of living where you are.
I love that part. Sergeant Rogers, if you want to explain, like in the reserves, is it the same thing, the minimal and maximal? And then I want to hit you up on with the age also, the minimum and max.
Got you. Yeah, Dave, thank you. We'll start off with the age because I think eligibility is really good to start off with here.
Yeah.
Of course, we're looking for 17 years of age, or at least a junior in high school. And that's with parental consent, right? So we always
Right.
want family involved because it's always changing and today's different. The maximum age is 43. That's both for active and reserve. Now, here's where it's different for the reserve. You only have to be before your 43rd birthday. You have to assess, and the day that you swear in, you're classified as a soldier in Army Reserves, and you get to get your ID and start getting those benefits right away before you even ship. On the active duty component, not to take from Sergeant Salas's there here, you just have to ship before your 43rd birthday. So that's that little technical split there. For the Army Reserves, it is different as far as the benefits. Speaking of benefits,
Right.
the new one just came out, so we got some new hotness that came
All right, here
out.
we
So
go,
they have
here we
bonus.
go.
Here it is. Here it is.
There it is.
So they just got bonuses up to $30,000. Traditionally and historically, it's normally around 20. These are for critical jobs that we're trying to build up in the Army Reserves. So, and that's going to be based upon demographic, location, of course, ASVAB score and all the stuff we normally talk about.
Right.
And so that's going to be there. Now let's talk about contract obligations. Now, all contract military obligations, no matter what it is, for your first one will always read 8 years, whether it's active duty or reserve. But your obligation is what you signed for. For us, kind of how Sergeant Salas said, hey, to max out your benefits, you need to at least do 36 months or 3 years. Right. For the reserves, you have to sign what they call a 6 and 2. That means a 6-year obligation of that 1 week in a month, 2 weeks in the summer, to qualify for all our benefits. And that's going to be for your VA home loan. That's at 0 down, right?
Right.
And then, of course, that's for that specifically. And, of course, the higher end bonuses and the higher end for the GI Bill, kicker, and all stuff. Now, our stuff is split up a little differently. Right. So you want to say you get up to $120,000, but you get to choose your obligation, which adjusts how much you're going to walk away. There you go. Whether it's bonuses or the $50,000 student loan repayment, the $15,000 kicker that you get on top of your GI Bill that goes into your pocket. These are additional funds that get to go to you on top of the tuition assistance, where they pay for your college up to $4,500 a year to help cover those education costs. Now, what's really cool about the reserves, where we differ a little bit, as soon as you come back and you sign into the Army, you qualify for what they call the CONAP, sorry. Okay. And CONAP means you get to apply for colleges right away without having to pay those registration fees. And because we have that partnership with them, and it's pretty much all your major colleges, there's such a large list, I couldn't go through them all or whatever, right. But we can look it up. And once you're all done with all that right there, you get that like automatic acceptance so that you're getting the college you want to.
That's a lot of information that I don't even think people they understand. And certainly at 17 years old. So like on both of your parts, what is like the process of when you take a 17-year-old? Let's just say my son, you take a 17-year-old. What do you talk about? What do you recommend? How do you tell a 17-year-old? I remember what I did, but all I remember was just going swearing in. We're going to talk all about that. But what did you see from there? Like, what do you tell a 17-year-old?
So the first thing for me, right, because I have my son, 17, he's 17. So the first thing is identify what is his scores, right? Like know his parents' scores, but his scores, right? What you want to do in life? What is your goal, like after school? What are you good at? Like what are you trying to do in your life, right? Whether you got a purpose or not, we're gonna work together to find that goal for you. That's what we do as a recruiter. We people call recruiters, but we most like guidance counselors. That's what we do. After we identify that, we're gonna work together to find the best way, whether it's reserve, like that's a Sergeant Rogers preach, and then active duty, right? It's 2 ways, right? Because if I got a guy that he got great goals, like I want to do college, I want to do this, I got great support from my parents financially. It just depends what routes you want to go, right? But if I got a guy that he don't have support for his parents, he doesn't have a job, he don't want to do college, guess what? you can go active duty. Well, you
Sure.
can get you get the income right away. You don't have to wait until you get bad and stuff like that. You basically start hitting your career full time and develop a job experience, which is gonna give you a lot of different skills
Different
along
skills.
with the leadership skills. Because guess what? When you join the Army active duty, you not only get the skills for what we call the job experience, you also get the leadership. Because this is crazy. I go to Carlisle Pie Walmart here in Mechanicsburg every single
Right.
night. I think Sarah Rogers left the chat. And basically, I got this lady that she always, she was, always say hi, everything. I was talking to her like, hey, how long you been here? And she said, I've been working here for 40 years. And I said, why you are not the owner of Walmart right now? And she
Right.
said, well, I never really want to do it, and also it's okay. And then we had this conversation, and it really impacted me because I said, okay, so someone that's been here for 40 years is being able
Right.
to just keep the low key role, work and part time. In the army is different. Like you will be a leader regardless of you
Right.
want it or not, and not that they're gonna obligate you to do it. They're gonna have you getting the opportunity to lead other personnel or influence people, and now you're gonna be like, okay, that right there, it will develop your leadership skill because everyone's a leader.
Right.
But a lot of people doesn't know that. A lot of people just floating around. They don't know what their purpose is in the organizations. In the
Right.
army, the army gonna give you the purpose. They're gonna influence you to be a better leader, to have the so you get out of the army with 3 years with the job experience,
Oh yeah.
with
That's
the leadership skills, with your biggest certifications that you can have, because you also can have tuition assistant on top of your geo bill as active duty and the reserves as well. And
right.
basically, you can do all of that. That's what I did. I did my college. What I do, I was in Afghanistan when I started my college. That's crazy. I was there. I said, okay, I got all this time in the world. I have my family with me. Guess what? I'm gonna sign for college. I started there. I finished it like 2 years ago, and doing my master right now while I active duty.
All right.
So
Sergeant
it's
Rogers,
possible.
do you encourage the parents that want to come down? And I want you to take me through, like, when you have that, a 17, 18-year-old, it doesn't matter whether they're in school or college. What do you recommend when they come down to you? And then what's the first couple steps that you're going to look at?
Well, David, that's a very deep question.
Okay.
That's a great question. So, of course, we always advocate for family to come. It's very important that they know just as much as you do, right? So you
Right.
want them to be advocates for you. But when they come through it, honestly, it's about knowing that individual. The whole process, as far as processing goes, it's just us
Right.
getting to know their goals and stuff, so we can find the best way for them. But educating them is the best way to go. So, for example, if I have somebody comes through and they already know, like, hey, I don't want to go to college, right? Well,
Right.
post-secondary education's important, especially in today's time, for you to have a great career field, etc. Which, by the way, most people don't know this, but there's more millionaires from trades in today's time that's been produced than just education, right? So there's options out there. It doesn't mean you have to go to college, but make
Right.
yourself profitable. So we get to know their plans and all this stuff, and then we educate them on these additional certifications and these different processes and for them to achieve goals. Because a lot of times they say, figure out your whole life at 18 years old, but they don't know
Right.
resources, they don't know companies and all stuff. So what we do is we provide that information and resources. So for example, we have our P3O program, our PACE program, and these programs are where they do job placements. Okay, hey, if this is the field you want to go into, we utilize these programs with the
You're
Army.
going to match it with it, right? You're going to.
There you go. And then we give you an end result. And hey, let's not stop there. If you continue your way, because I think Sarsala said, hey, we're mentors and leaders, right? Because it isn't just, hey, you just joined the Army, high five, you're out. We're always here. And that's what's an important role for recruiters. So now we're helping them look a little further. So instead of just finishing your education, whether it's
Right.
VOTEC or education, and we get them accepted to college or regardless, I advocate for everybody to get it. But then we look for a job placement, and then, hey, let's not get you entry level. What would it take for you to get to that next level?
To the next
And
one.
and then we paint it all out. And then what's really cool about today's time is 2025. So we put it all in right in black and white. We find
Right.
it. And here's the proof, because seeing is believing.
So then, what do you recommend when education seems to be really important, right?
Yes.
That's one thing I can imagine that you stress now, because you were saying the difference of being how you test on the ASVAB, right? Whether it's college or, can you elaborate on that, what the ASVAB is and what it does for you on both, and then we'll go to Sergeant Salas.
Absolutely. Thank you. So the ASVAB is an aptitude test. Everybody thinks, oh, it's a percentage test. No, it's actually percentile. It's based upon your demographics. And it
Right.
says, hey, I scored between 1 and 99.
Right.
This right here is I scored 50 percentile of people within my same age and same grade or better than them. And this is how I scored. Within the ASVAB score or the FQT score, they have what they call line scores. Now, these scores what dictate what you could do in the service if you choose
Okay.
to do it. Now, on the military side of it, because there's two sides of this, a lot of folks don't know this. On the military side, it says, hey, you scored really well in these areas, so this means these type of jobs will be easier for you.
Okay.
Okay, and why that's important, and I advocate for high school students, and middle school students could even take this. It would be great for them if schools
Right.
offered it. But if someone that has the aspirations of being a doctor, nurse, or medical field, this test will tell them that they scored, hey, you scoring kind of low in your math and your arithmetic and your science. So you want to be this. That means you need to crack down now so that it's easier on you, because you'll turn into, here it is, from a 4-year degree, because that's important for those
Right.
jobs certifications. They roll into those 6-year guys, because then they're retaking classes and also other stuff. So it's taking 6 years to get that undergraduate when they could have got it in 4.
So that's what you were saying, I think, before, is that extra 2 years, and it makes sense because of all the education that the military is giving you, and you're giving it back, kind of. You're giving that back also in a way. Sergeant Salas, when they do it, say they score low, or even for full time, I'm sure it's the same for both. But do they get the retest or anything like that afterwards? If something they didn't score high enough, they really wanted this profession, all of a sudden now you're stuck with, well, I didn't score that high. What do you do? What do you tell that?
So I got that a lot, especially I work with a lot of Spanish population around the area, and basically, and I had that a lot, right? So basically, we're gonna assess what that person gonna score, right?
Right.
Before we get sent into maps, because we have some tools that we can do that way that person can see where that person is before they actually going to take the actual test, right?
Okay.
Once we notice that, we're gonna bring in the tools. We got different tools that we can use, like we have March to Success, which is basically a military assess page that you can go there and you can enroll yourself and add me as a leader to track your progress, right? Which is basically like a digital tutor for you to get better on the aspect.
Okay.
But realistically, when we're talking about a low score, there are different answers for that question, right? The first one, we have different programs. For my Spanish speakers or foreign language, they do have a Flori program. Flori program is a program that can bring you to the Army Reserve or active duty as long as you score 21 or above, right?
And I can
That
ask
program.
a question right there real quick, though. But when you say like Spanish or everything, is English really has to be perfect, or can it be, being bilingual naturally is there? But how does that work with being bilingual?
So, excellent question. Thank you for asking me that. So, how that works, right? I got a product for that. I went to LACLAN, DLI, which is the Defense Language Institute in San Antonio. So, the Army has a program that if you don't know English at all, like you come to the Army, hey, I don't know English, we can still, use translation and stuff like that.
Right.
I still can process you, right? The only thing you got to do is pass the ASVAB, right, with 21. Once you have the score, we can set you up for a aptitude test for your language, right?
Gotcha.
Once you get the score, you process and everything like that. Before you actually go to basic training, you go join the Army. You're gonna go to San Antonio, learn English for about 90 days. Then you're gonna get classes for the ASVAB again and retake the ASVAB. And that's a
Nice.
great program that a lot of people don't know about it. I've been taking advantage of that program as a recruiter because a lot of people don't know that. A lot of people talk to recruiters and oh yeah, I scored 21. I go home, I have to retest it. But yeah, it's a great program. They're gonna teach you English, whatever you speak, whatever language you speak.
Yeah,
They will
whatever.
teach you. They have professionals there. They will take care of that. But I always, honestly, your score in the ASVAB, right? It's a tool for help us to help you, right? So you
Right.
score low, we're not gonna let you down. But the time for retest is 30 days. So you want to retest, it's gonna be 30 days the first time. You fail a second time, it's gonna be another 30 days. You fail a third time, it's gonna be another 30 days. And then after the third time, you got 6 months to retest. And then so forth and so forth with that one.
That'd be outstanding, that you can study for it so much. It's the same test that you're taking, right? It doesn't change. It's the same across,
So
right?
technically got a database. They have different questions in the database, and then they randomly pick the questions, but it's the same difficult. It doesn't get harder or easier on the questions.
If you want to add on that, Sergeant Rogers.
I do, I do. So Salas brought up some really cool stuff, and I think that to add a little bit of substance to this. So he brought up March to Success, which is a study site that the Army invested millions upon millions of dollars into to help. But it's not just for the service. But what's more important to understand about it is it was developed by Peterson, and Peterson's the same people that develop your education test for your SATs and ACTs for the right there. So it's not. So it helps you prepare for college. So if you say, hey, I want to use this resource just to prepare for college and better myself, you could do that. But it does help with the ASVAB as well. But it's the same people that develop these, tests for the entire nation. It has some quality behind it there. One thing I'd like to add is that let's say that an individual says, hey, I got a low score on the ASVAB, but I have to join the Army now. My home living is bad, or I just want to begin life, whatever. So something that they offer for soldiers is once you're in is called the BSEP. And what it is pretty much that we get to take the ASVAB again, and they'll put us through a course to teach us the ASVAB. And what's really cool about the Army is that they say, hey, we're going to pay you full time just for you to go learn this. You don't even got to come to work. You just let us know you're on your way there, your thumbs up, and that's your duty station. Then you get a retest and you get your higher score so that you could change your job in the Army and not miss out on that time in service that you're still working towards that retirement. Because you got to keep your rank and everything and still change your job in the future because they invest in you to do that.
And that makes total sense there. I mean, I didn't even know that. That answers everything right there. That because there are some kids that I call them kids, but that need that extra push, that need that education. And if you could, Sergeant Rogers, talk about what's the difference when a young person comes in and talk about enlisted versus being an officer. How does that begin? Like, when a child, say my son comes down, which he's going to, say, see you, and you're going to say, okay, if you have this type of education, what do you want to do? Well, I'd really like to be an officer. Even if the kids understand what that is, what's that process?
David, I'm glad you asked me this. So my sister, she's actually a major in the Army. She's retiring next year, right? And so I got to see both worlds behind the scenes. And at the end of the day, everybody wants to be an officer because you hear, leadership, you're hearing money, it's better retirement, and there is a good quality to it. Everybody has this. But you forget that an officer in the Army is corporate. So what tends to happen, I try to get to know the individual again, because some people, they want to come through, and I say, hey, I want to be an officer in the Army. That sounds amazing. Tell me a little bit about yourself. I hate paperwork. Well, you're now a leader of, you're going to start off with like a leader of 30 soldiers, and then you got to be the leader of this. And there's a lot of office work. And, so what happens is individuals like, oh, well, maybe that's not the best way for me. But what's really cool about the officer programs, there's two ways to do it. So you can do it prior to, or you can come in enlisted and always commission afterwards to kind of figure out if it's really what you want. Ironically, I've had people get their commission and they got accepted to the officer program. They go there and then they give up their commission to stay enlisted. It happens. It's about finding out what that individual is about and what their goals are. I'm a firm believer that all the benefits you're going to get from the service, as we spoke about earlier, you can get within first 3 years. So if you have no intentions of serving longer than that, let's see if that's really the best option for you. And let's find out what your goals are to see if that's the way to go.
And that makes sense. Sergeant Shalaz, when they come in, is it the same thing for the regular Army there? There's no difference from the reserves, right? Whether they come into you and say, I want to be an officer full-time versus going into the reserves.
Yeah, so technically for it's basically they want to be officers in the active duty. It's kind of the same thing for reserve. They do have an obligation after they commission of 8 years, whether you go reserve or active duty. That's important to put it out there because a lot of people, like he say, they want to be officers because it's cool. I got this title, but what they don't tracking is like you need to find your purpose before you actually do the commitment. It's a big commitment. It's 8 years. We're talking about I want to be an officer because I want to lead. Okay, well, how about you? Organize your thoughts. Give me what you want. Give me a purpose of why you want to do this. That way I can help you because a lot of people come here and it turns out like, I don't want to do that. I just want to stay enlisted for the Army.
Do they come with degrees? Like for an officer, like when they're coming into say full time, they've already graduated college or they haven't gone. Like how does that? You know what I mean? Like you got to have some kind of college, I'm sure, for being an officer, right?
Correct. Yeah, for beta officer, I mean, it's different ways to do it. A lot of different ways.
Right.
You can do the ROTC program along with the reserve, which is a SMP program that Rogers can cover more about that after.
Okay.
That's what my son's gonna do probably. He joined the reserve. He's gonna do now SMP when he comes back to Puerto Rico after training. Basically, in the active duty, if you
Right.
got a bachelor degree, you can do the OCS program whenever you want. Like you basically can join, get out at basic training, AIT, come back to your duty station, and tell to your commander, listen, I want to start the process to be OCS because this is what I wanted to do. And that's why I encourage people, find your purpose first. Don't do officer because it's a better job. No, that's not how it is. You need to have a purpose in life
I
for
like
that.
that. I
So
like that. And
Rogers got covered about SMP. I think he get
yeah,
credit that one.
Yeah, I definitely want to add one to that. No, exactly what Sarcel says. I capitalize that. Kudos to you for that because a lot of folks do miss that out. They find your
right.
purpose. But you can actually apply for an officer as early as your senior year in college. And while that is beneficial for individuals, if it's just something they want to do, they don't actually have to be an ROTC. They just got to have a degree, right? Because
Right.
the selection board is very strenuous and it can be very competitive. It depends on reserves a little bit more relaxed. I cannot be honest about that compared to the active
Right.
duty, but they're accepting less and less and less and making it there. They are
Right.
currently restructuring the ROTC program to offer more scholarships. So more to come on that. But as of right now, if they're a senior in college and they want to go OCS, Officer Candidate School, they can apply that early. And it's beneficial because the boards and all stuff, and let's say they get up and they don't get selected, there is a
Right.
minimum 1 year wait before they can reapply. So it gives them the alternative to just say, oh, you know what? I didn't get selected, but I still want to pursue this. So I'm going to enlist. And then and then you could apply right away back for the Officer Candidate School because it's a different component because you're actually a military service member at that point.
For that. Okay.
The second route now, I don't want to get into too much detail because that's a whole different
Right.
segment. But yes, if you turn around and you hopped into the ROTC program, right? So there is just you going to college and say, hey, I want to hop in an ROTC program. That's just you get military science courses. And based upon how you compete, let's assume you get scholarshiped in, and
Right.
most people get scholarshiped in on their sophomore year. But anyway, it's a competition about how you perform, physically, mentally, and how you're doing right there. And then they put you in a numerical order at the end of the course. And then you turn around and say, hey, I'm number 2. So I get my number 2 selection.
Number
And then
two.
you choose if I can go active duty or reserve.
I have one more question for you, and then we're going to go into like the next phase of it. But what happens with parent anybody, like you having a hard time, you don't have a high school diploma, you haven't passed that GED test. Is that the end? Or can you still try to figure out a way to? Does the Army help you get in there? Because I know when I was in, I was able to go in at 17 right out of high school. I didn't have high school graduation, but GED, but they put me in when I got into the Army. I had to take classes to get a high school diploma. I didn't know if they do something like that nowadays or.
I'm gonna take this one, sorry, Silas. So this one kind of hits home to me. When I went to join the Army, I actually did not have a high school diploma.
Yes.
So the Staff Sergeant Kilkenny, I'll never forget it. He was like, "Hey, you got to get a GED." And in my time, you had to get 12 additional college credit hours on top of that GED. So what recruiters do, and this is where a lot of folks don't see it, is they put us, even though it doesn't benefit them right now, they put us on the side and they say, "Hey, I'm going to mentor you, even though it doesn't benefit me." And this is.
Right.
It's not benefiting the company, but I'm going to take care of you. If you get to the end, at least I know I did something for you. I mean, it's changed my life. I got a GED. Now I sit on a master's degree. I can pursue a doctorate in leadership. But my point is, it changed my whole life. And but we no longer have the high school program where you get your high school diploma or GED in. But a recruiter will definitely put you in contact with the resources, and we follow up and ensure you still get it.
That's what I figured. Sergeant Salas, so now we've taken the test. Everything's done. You've sat down with a person. You're saying, okay, this is what you qualify for. What's the next fun part? What is it? You've chosen what you want to go. I want to be, I want to just say infantry. I want to go there. What is the next step within the office?
The next steps is basically getting what he wants. Once the person qualified, passes qualifications with the ASBAT, and then basically you gotta go to the physical portion of it, right? Basically, the physical portion is not like a fit test. It's basically a medical examination, right? We gotta do a screen. Nowadays, it's different. When Sam Rogers and myself joined, it was different. We basically joined, going to MEPS, go the physical, whatever they saw that day, cool, you pass, going to the Army. Now you gotta provide more documentation basically we got to put your records, right? I mean, not us, the medics, right? They need to see your medical records before you actually hit the problem maps. What they're gonna do, they're gonna screen you. They're gonna make sure that you don't have any disqualification. Even
Right.
if you do, they will tell us, hey, this person had any kind of like disqualifications, and that's why we had to get a conversation one on one about your medical history. We're gonna do a screen, and we're gonna help you out. What we don't want as a recruiters. Uh, my best advice to people is do not disqualify yourself.
Right.
Do not go out there. Oh, yeah, I had asthma. I can't qualify for the military because ChatGPT. ChatGPT tell me I can join the army with asthma.
Yeah.
Wrong. Let your recruiter do that for you, okay? Because everything is waivable, right? As long as we can prove that you are good health and you don't have no more further situations, we basically gonna send you to MEPS and let MEPS
Right.
work. Once that happens, you qualify, you physically qualify. I'm talking about it's gonna be a medical examination about your hearing, your vision. They're gonna say your teeth, your weight, your height. They're
Right.
gonna say your mental condition, your lower extremities, your upper body. Once everything is done, you are 100% qualified to join the United States Army.
Love it. Sergeant
And you
Rogers.
know, David. Oh,
Oh, go ahead.
sorry.
No, add to it. No, go ahead.
I appreciate you. So what Sergeant Salas was talking about in 2022, the Army, the entire DoD changed. So back in our day, you guys say, "Hey, you're in good health, right?" And you said, "Sure, nothing
Right.
has ever happened to me." And you joined the service. And so what happened was is they were trying to adjust and trying to help with the VA claims and all that stuff and look for healthy individuals. What they found is the majority. So they opened up what they call Genesis, and
Right.
Genesis pre-screens means that they now get around HIPAA. And then when you sign all your documents, a medical provider gets to look through and they get to see, oh, this person had this, this, and this. But it turns out, and like he said, a lot of folks like to go disqualify themselves and not even make an effort because almost 80% of this population was disqualified.
Right.
And so they were like, hey, we probably should reevaluate this. We're in a new time and sector. So that's kind of why that is what it is and why they do have so many waivers just about for everything.
For that. So what happens when I know with the reserves? I mean, regular Army naturally you pick your MOS, you leave. That's where you go. They tell you where you're going. What I think I asked you before with the reserves is, let's just say you have a certain MOS that you're qualified for, you want, but you don't want to leave your state. Not all the areas have that MOS there, right? Or do you have to move somewhere to get what you want? I should say reserves.
So I want you to remember this word, David: versatility. that's what's amazing about the Army Reserves. So no, that's a great question, and a lot of people get this confused. So the versatility of the Army Reserves is amazing. Even though I live in Pennsylvania, and let's say, for
Right.
example, we have 12 Charlie, or let's say that we turn around, we want to be a nurse. Okay,
Right.
that's a good one. They have a lot of medicals located down in Virginia. I can live in Pennsylvania, get all my nursing education as an LPN, be certified nationally by doing all my training, and then I can still live in Pennsylvania. Now, a couple things can happen. I can drill or do my obligation that one
That's what I
weekend
mean, right?
locally with another unit that's closer, and then only for the big ones travel down to Virginia to do that one. But I get to stay local because you get a transfer any 50 states you want because we're completely versatile.
Right. So you can do that at any time. You could sit there and say, "Hey, I want to move to California," or wherever you want to do that, which makes sense. So then, Sergeant Salaz, when they're doing that, naturally they're going. You don't have a choice where you're going for your basic, right? Or it's still certain posts have certain your basic training and AIT for that MOS.
So it all depends what job you pick, right? For
Right.
example, like most of the combat jobs, they're gonna go to Fort Benning because that's where they teach combat jobs. Another transportation is gonna go to Fort Leonard. Fort Jackson, pretty much Fort Jackson has 90% of the support jobs, and then for SAMs, for SEAL, they have the artillery and medical jobs because it's closer to the AIT, which is in Fort SAMs, right? So, but in some cases, you can adjust. Like you don't pick your basic training,
Right.
basically, right? You're gonna go wherever your training for your job will be more closer. But answering your questions for active duty, you get Ocean 19, and that's incredible because a lot of people don't know that too.
Right.
You get to pick where you're going, right? So the army gonna have some needs. So for certain jobs only, right? So it depends. It's a timing game. Let's say I open a job that they need a 25 Sierra, which is a communication satellite specialist, and they need it in Georgia. I told this person, hey, if you pick this job right now, I reserve it to you to join, you will go into Georgia. Are you willing to do that? Of course, I want to know. They're looking for more predictability, right? So we got those options with certain jobs that the
Right.
Army want to fill. And that's like the bonuses, the same thing. Not all the jobs are bonuses, right? So right now we have certain jobs that have bonuses.
Right.
But technically, that's something where you get to pick where your options are in the table. It's like a timing game because this is a live system that when we sit down with the individual that want to join, we tell them, hey, listen, this job, you're going to go to the AIT, to the basic training, and they offer you, on top of that, your duty station. Are you willing to do that? A lot of people pick that job because they wanted that predictability. They don't want to be like, okay, well, I'm going to AIT, but I want to find out there where I'm going, whether I'm going to Alaska, Germany, Italy, East Coast, West Coast. So
All of
that's something that is really happening on the session program when that person go to AIT. But just
right.
hope that helps.
All right, Sergeant Rogers, when you now you're ready. I mean, you've sworn in. You usually do the swearing in close to the area, right?
Yep. It's
Where they
5 minutes
can
from our station, actually.
great 5 minutes. So you've done your swearing in. Now comes the best part of it all: basic training, and I know it's the same as for the regular because I know it's mixed. But take some parents through that, or even a teenager right now. What entails basic training? Here's your orders. They put you on a plane. You say goodbye to the recruiter or your parents.
So it's more of a high five, good luck, right?
Right.
Actually, what really happens is that so basic training is coming up, and we're
Right.
saying, hey, we've done prepared you during future soldier training. We promoted you. We advocated. You're prepared. You know, you're kind of going in. It's like studying to go be a doctor, and when you go be a
Right.
doctor, you're like, I know what I'm doing. So what happens is the person comes in, and a normal route is that they come in the day prior, and we take them over to the hotel, which is located. Now, this is free of charge. You get free meal and all that stuff. That way, they don't have to stress about it.
Right.
So what happens from there is they get to go over there. They hang out with the other people that are shipping, etc. Then they're going to be taken over the following morning, which is ship day. They get taken over the maps, and they're going to start getting all these briefings right away. That financial class, they're given, hey, make sure you do this, this, and this, because they want them to start doing the right thing right away.
Right.
Around 11 o'clock, 10 o'clock-ish, they'll allow mom and dad to come up to MEPS, and they're going to let them hang out with you, see you do a final swear-in, validate that you got your promotion, and make sure that everything's good so you don't have no problems. Then they're going to give them a travel card of money because we expect somebody to show up and not have a dime to their name.
Right.
And then so they give them money, so it's called a food voucher. It's on a little card too. It's really cool now. Back in the day, it was a check, right? Then they give it to them, and they make sure that they're all traveled up. At that point, they get to give their mom or see them do a final swear-in. This is the big one, right?
Right.
And then they get to give the hug and kisses. And hey, mom, I get to keep my cell phone because I'm gonna talk to you while I'm in training because that's a thing now. And then they get to go transport it over to the airport, and then they get to say, hey, I'm here, and then it begins.
The fun begins. And I did have one question before that and I wanted to go back on something. I wanted to bring up the tattoos, piercings, and all that because I didn't ask you that last time. What does the military do now for, like, I have tattoos because I got them in the Army, but what happens when somebody comes in with tattoos?
Well, tattoo policy is at an all-time amazing. I mean, clearly I got mine.
Right.
So you're allowed to have a 1 inch by 1 inch on your hand and one on your neck. And that right there is without a waiver. Just saying, hey, we got that right there. It's behind the ear. You got a 1 inch by 1 inch. But they, like we mentioned earlier, they're allowed a lot of waivers in, right? Because this
Right.
tattoo is distracting from everything, different from a big old leg sleeve. And they're like, let's look at this. So as long as they're respectful in every manner, right? Nothing too
Right.
crazy. I've seen full hands covered. We have seen a little bit up on the neck up to here. It's at the discretion, of course, of the battalion or brigade commander, which we send it up when we find out today. But if somebody has a tattoo, as long as it ain't on their face, we pretty much, and it's not bad,
Right.
there's a good chance you can get waived in.
Okay.
And then to add that to what you say, the tattoos nowadays, like I say, everything needs a waiver pretty much, right? But for tattoos, right, I put a lot of people with tattoos in the hams, like out of regulation. When the Army really wants for you, what are you gonna bring to the table? Like what leadership skills you bring to the table? What different roles that you're playing right now in your community that you can bring that to the Army. So we gotta do a great statement because that's what they're gonna evaluate when they're gonna approve that waiver for the tattoo. So that's important. If you got a big tattoo or something like that, what you can bring to the table, and that's what the Army gonna evaluate when they do that waiver for you.
Okay, that makes sense. And Sergeant Roger, if you want to take basic the 6 weeks, and then if Sergeant Celos, you want to take the AIT of what to expect for that, and then we're going to hit some of the perks.
Oh, love it. Love it. All right, let's do this. All right, so believe it or not, the worst time in basic training is that first week. Everybody thinks it's when you get there. No, it's actually the end processing when you're getting your hair cut and you're getting your uniform and you're walking through and getting all the shots. Because it's just like a long doctor's visit, right? You got a week, 3 to 5 days of just sitting there waiting to get all your stuff to be prepared. After that first week, you get to now you're getting ready to start basic training. So they let you get on a bus, they make sure you're all accountable, and you're saying, hey, I'm headed there. Once you get there, as of right now, it's still a team concept. The first used to be Shark Attack where they yell at you a lot.
Right.
Now it's a team building concept. Now it is going back to the Shark Attack. That has been confirmed. So
Right.
they get to have the brutalness where people are just yelling at the bag above your head.
I love it.
They do that first one to kind of shock and kind of establish like dominance, like, hey, I'm in charge, because we all come from different cultures and, raised differently, but we have to get in a way where we see in the same direction, right? You can't really move that way we're moving. Anyway, so then after that's done, they take a little bit, the drill sergeants introduce themselves. They're like, hey, this is who I am. This is my job. I'm here for you, etc. And then they'll ask the soldiers to turn around and write their names, a little bit about them, because they want to get to know them.
Right.
Even though they're there to help them to develop, but they're learning how to be a soldier. So the first couple of weeks, they're learning how to get physically active, because it's a shock for most folks coming off the couch.
Right.
And then so you're learning how to walk, talk, eat, and that's pretty much the changeover. Towards the end of it, though, you pretty much got it down, and then you move more into like you learn how to fire a weapon, and you're doing the more soldiery things.
Right.
After you complete that, though, you'll complete your basic training. It's 10 weeks total. So it's 1 week processing, and then 9 week. Then of course your 9 weeks of basic training.
And that includes all your physical fitness tests at the end, right?
Everything, you're getting all that, and of course we have the new AFT, right? They got rid of the ball throw. Anybody's curious, look it up. AFT Army. It's kind of like a CrossFit setup. It's fun now. It's not so much just I'm pushing. And then after that, you graduate, and you get to have that really cool day where they throw in smokes, and your family gets to come see you.
Right.
And when you march out there, you get to have that pride and something that you accomplished that somebody didn't give you.
Love it. All right. Now, if you want to take us through AIT, now comes the fun part, right? The training, right?
Absolutely, the fun part. I was just in basic training 2 weeks ago, so I can tell about the ceremony prior. I was crying. I was the one tapping my son, so that was good. AIT, my son is in AIT right now. I can tell. He's in 42 Alpha right now. For AITs, depends on where you're going, right? For example, we have AITs that they are, we call it the O suit, the ones station duty training. Unit training, which is basically a lot of combat jobs, MP. They basically stay the same to the whole time. They pass basic training. They got a little break for 2 days with the family, and they go straight to the training. So they stay the same, right? For AITs, for support jobs, any other jobs, they basically break down on times, right? So normally logistic jobs like support, like 92 gold, like cooks, transportation, most of them are from 5 weeks to 12 weeks. Most of them are in Virginia for Lee. Technically, right, for AIT, like he said, they by the days they didn't have drill sergeants in AIT, right? Because they were supposed to be disciplined, and everyone thought that that's a good idea, but they were doing the wrong thing. So the army say, you know what, we're gonna come back again, and we're gonna put drill sergeants in AIT. So now you're gonna have drill sergeants, which basically gonna take care of you as
in AIT, though, right?
Second.
Are the drill sergeants in AIT, or are they different? Are they just like sergeant first class sergeants, or is it still drill sergeants the whole thing, or not?
It is drill sergeants. Yeah, they are whole drill sergeants. They have the same as basic training. So basically, the different roles, though, is a different role because now drill sergeants there, they have to take care of the platoon. So they become platoon sergeants. So what they do is just basically take care of the warfare, make sure they had to have what they need for training, for the school, for the AIT, and make sure they finance, all the armies are good to go. It's a different kind of drill sergeant because technically it's completely different training environment. So, but yeah, they still have drill sergeants there. So they're gonna go to school, normal schedule. They're gonna do PT. They still got to do PT test requirements and everything. They gotta go to school. Depends on what they're doing. Whether they do aviation, nurse schools, medical, transportation, they're going to do the specific job that you are assigned, right? You do that training, you come back, you do the solid stuff, you make sure you have your room squared together. But it's different in terms of the environment. Now you have your phone with you. My son just got his phone. He never turned it away. So you got your phone. You're going to have more freedom in terms of the weekends. They're going to give you like a on-post pass. Um, Depends on the longevity of the longest of the AIT. You
Right.
also can have family members visiting you, right? Let's say you got like 52 weeks nurse training. You're gonna go there. You're married. You also can bring your family with you.
Right.
They call it TDY in route. That way you can get the training and move forward to the duty station afterwards because it's longer than 6 months.
Okay.
But you also can have passes. Like if you want to visit your son, and as long as your son doing the right things, he can basically put a pass and then spend the weekend with you in terms of be with you for a certain period of time. He can
Okay.
sleep with you, but basically just go on pause and have time with him or with her. That's something that really happened in IT. So it all depends on what kind of job you have. Like I say, you have a support job, most likely going to have a more freedom environment. If you
Right.
got a combat job, you're still going to have that kind of like a tough environment where you have to get more, discipline and keep the same kind of like a training because that's what the Army wants.
Okay.
But technically, that's the difference that you have from basic training. You graduated, and then you should find where you're going after the 4 week.
Okay.
So basically, you're gonna have orders coming to you, whether you are reserve. I mean, for reserve, you already had your unit assignment. For active duty, you're gonna have your orders coming back to your email, and then you're gonna find out. Oh yeah, I was assigned to Fort Bragg, for Irwin, for Polk, for Hood. You find all these duty stations during the 4 week period around.
Okay. Sergeant Rogers, if you want to take us now with the 10 minutes we have left here, is if you could, I love to talk about the families, like what's it, because I know it's the same, you have those benefits. Like what does the families, benefit from the military? What does the families get any kind of perks? You know what I mean? Like, you're in the full time, whether you're full time or regular, like you said last time, but you're in the reserves or in the full time, but what does that entail? And then we're going to talk about that. And then kind of like the 401ks and all that.
Got you. Crazy. We only got 10 minutes left. It's going by fast.
I know.
Roger, David. All right, so let's do this. So let's start off with a couple things. I'll start off with a spouse. So they have programs for your spouse that help them to get additional certifications. So, for example, let's say your spouse decides she wants cosmetology or she wants to become a personal trainer. There's programs within the service, whether it's reserve or active, that will turn around and pay for that, so that it doesn't affect them at all. Additionally, let's say that you're transferring around all stuff. They have what they call spousal preference.
Right.
And what that means is if you're close to a military establishment or a government job, you come through and you say, hey, I recently moved here, this, and this, and they will help her find a federal job or on base so that she can find something that helps her. Additionally, we get childcare, right? Childcare is, I want to say, it almost matches my mortgage.
I know.
And it's definitely a field out there, but you can get on base childcare, and if it's a reduced cost for the soldier themselves, if let's say that's full, because it happens, right? Then they'll turn around and they will do it, so they adjust it, so they will pay the extra for civilian.
Right.
And what it is, you would pay what you normally pay on base, and it would cover the extra cost that you had to pay out of your pocket for your children.
That's changed so much. I think that's so great with the families because now the military, I believe, just, they realize that's part two. You got to take care of the family. And then I believe that somebody would probably, if it's a great experience, you really want to be, you want to spend that time to retire if you want to do that 20 years or, what you do for the reserves. But that's really great that they offer that. So as a family too, it comes with all the healthcare benefits too, right? You were talking about that before where you said there's a certain amount that you could pay, then deductibles and everything like that. If you could elaborate on that.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk about the reserve TRICARE. So they have so we're going to call it a 80-20 coverage just to make it easy for folks. So you can turn around and you can pay $45 a month for a single soldier. So people that are coming off mom's insurance and stuff, it ain't bad for $45 a month.
Right.
If for that, let's say, but I have a family. I have more kids than God, I always say.
I know, right?
But for me, I would pay that $200 a month for that coverage, and it would cover there. And I didn't realize how big of an incentive it was until I spoke to my brother, who's paying close to $600-700 a month on the civilian sector.
Yeah, for that part. Sergeant Salaz, when they come in with the full time like that, your family, you move your family where you're going if you can. I know that's different overseas and different things like that, but you can move them with you when you graduate and you go to your job, right?
Exactly. So that's a great question. So when you move, right, the military is going to move you. whether you want it or not. Like it depends on what move you're doing. If you're doing overseas move, they will do it from there, right? But if you're moving all corners, you can move yourself. That's what I did, and that's what I do, and that's what I preach because it's a lot of money that you are saving to the government. So you're gonna have probably that money coming to your bank account too. So when I moved here, for example, I was in for brag, and they tell me, "Hey, you're gonna be a recruiter. Now it's time to move." So basically, right, whether you're a new soldier, whether you are in the army for 10 years, same process. You're basically gonna make sure you pack your stuff. You're gonna move yourself. Then we're gonna have you weigh everything, right? So that depends on your rank, right? Every rank has different weight limits. For example, like a staff sergeant, I have 11,000 pounds. Sergeant first class, he got 13,000 pounds. So basically, that's allotment, right? Doesn't mean
Right.
you can go over that. It means they're gonna pay you until that. That way, you basically got everything safe. You move yourself. You make sure you have your paperwork. You connect it to the transportation office when you get to the station to in
Right.
process, and they will help you out with the paperwork. Once that happens, you're gonna have a big income back to your account. But let's say you decide the army gonna move you because you don't have any idea what you're gonna do, so the army will do everything for you. Okay, it comes to the point when they move me, they pack my cat.
They take your cat. All right. Well, you
They
know
pack
what?
everything. They come to the home. They do everything.
It's a
Oh,
different
yeah, they did it.
time,
Yeah,
but
it was a bad story. I can tell you offline about that one. But anyways, so they pack everything for you. They technically, you don't have to worry about anything. So on top of that, when you're in process, they give you what it calls a dislocation allowance because that they want to pay you because they move you. So that's a cash money extra that you get over on top of the movement, on top of the mileage of your vehicle, on top of what you spend on the moving stuff, right? Because you're gonna buy cartoons, you're gonna cardboard, you're gonna buy different stuff to move you, right? So that's something that any other organization can do that right now. Like I telling you right now, I've been civilian for 28 years before the army. I was a civilian, and that's a great perk that the military has. That you don't have to worry about movement, stress. The army got you.
so Sergeant Rogers, on the reserve side, when you do like those 2 weeks, when it comes to pay, I know we've talked about, for every child you have, it's probably more, right? The child care, whatever, on that part. But does the pay stay the same for the ranks as the regular army? Does that make sense?
And that's a very good question. And yes, it makes sense to me. Maybe it's a little difficult because it is an interesting one. So when you're doing a battle assembly weekend, that's at your obligation.
Right, for your
One
2 weeks, right? Right.
right. So let's talk about let's break it down a little smaller to the weekend. So you're gonna make roughly on a weekend anywhere between $200 to $400 depending on your rank.
Right.
And ironically, it only goes up roughly $20-$30 each rank. But when you do those 2 weeks, you are now converted over onto your active duty training
That's
time.
what I was hitting. Yeah.
Yep. And so once we get to that point, what happens is you're now getting paid that active duty pay during that time. The main difference whenever from the reserve to the active is like, let's say that you're going to basic training in AIT and you're in the reserve,
Right.
you have to come home. So if you have a lease or you have a child or a wife, they will pay you BAH, which is housing allowance, which is
Right.
for here, I think it's like $2,000 or $2,400 tax-free money on top of your
Right.
paycheck because you got to come home.
Right.
But yeah, during those AIT or 2 weeks in the summer, you're getting paid full time. Anytime you go to an active duty training, you volunteer for something that is full time, you're getting paid full time, and then you're converted over and covered under that medical.
I can't even imagine. I was starting so that's 41 years ago. I was making $380 a month. I got all my paychecks, and I'm going to bring them to you. I'm going to show you $382 a month. And when I got out as an E4, I was making $826 a month. That was it.
I will add this just because we're here, and it is
I know.
the service has changed so
Yeah,
significantly
big
where
time.
everybody thought it was the plan B.
Yep.
It's now more difficult to get in than even college.
Right.
But I have a master's degree in emergency management, and whatever. My highest paycheck from the service has been $11,000 in a single month.
See, that's what I mean. And a lot of people, that's why I'm glad you're talking about this because it's changed. Some people tell you, you don't make much money. Listen, I know because I do a lot of research on it and I see the pay scales. It's almost, you're talking a little bit above entry level, even when you're in the entry level for the full time. I saw that. I was like, wow, you're talking $3,000 some dollars a month, 4,000. That's what somebody making $18, $19 an hour is living out in the real world. And Sergeant Salas, if you could take us through that part, and then I want to hit up about the retirement. what is the benefits of the retirement? It's still 20 years, right? 20 years, and how does that work?
So for retirement, right, is different types of retirement nowadays. Not only the regular retirements of 20 years, but
Right,
you also have what we call the medical retirement, right? Because from the time you join the army until you retire, 20 years, 10
right,
years, whatever time you're going to retire, right, medically, you basically are building out like you're going to a doctor. You're going to check yourself. You're going to make sure you are squared away.
right.
A lot of people don't know that, but you are doing they're gonna check you before you leave the service. They're gonna make sure that you are leaving. The military is gonna take care of you in the long way. Like if you need like any disability, you build up any disability percent. The Veterans Affairs will make sure they cover that. Right.
Okay,
I got family members or friends that have been in the military for 4 or 5 years, they retire, and they got 100% on VA rate. Because in some point in their careers they got an accident, they suffer and a service connected disability, that's what they call it. And they got a $4,600 patient just without tax and anything like that because they joined the military and they had a certain disability percent
I
built
got
up during their career. So that's also part of your retirement. You get out the 20 years, right? So you do 20 years, technically you're gonna match 2.5%
it.
of your
Okay,
salary. So technically, when you retire 20 years, you're gonna have 50% of your pay rate going into your account every month. If you retire 20 years, if you retire 30 years, then you can build those 75, and that's so on and so forth. 2.5 percent per year for your salary.
all right,
That's basically the active duty retirement. Simon Rogers can comment more about the reserve retirement.
okay. And Sergeant Rogers, if you want to hit the same part on the reserve side, because that's a little bit different when you do retire, because you don't get it, I know, to a certain age, but I'll let you talk about that part.
Yeah, no, right on the money. So as we spoke before, I brought it up before, the reserves was built to be that part-time career reinforcement, right? So it's like a
Right.
part-time job with full-time benefits. Not many part-time jobs offer any kind of retirement. So
Yeah.
it's the same setup. It's a blended retirement, just set up like a 401k. You can add in your TSP as well.
Right.
So what's interesting is that main differences, of course, you do your contribution. The Army is going to match your contribution. Everything's good there, right?
I love
Now,
that.
let's say you hit your 20 years and you retire at age 40. We're going to say you join at age 20. You do not get to withdraw your money, though, until
Right.
you're at the retirement age.
And that makes
Uh,
total sense when I thought about it after you said that before. So then when you turn 62, that's when you can go ahead and claim out your pension. Well, whatever age that you go to, whatever you're, yeah, because actually, yeah,
yeah.
whatever age you're going to. If you're starting out younger, you're out, you got to wait. But if you're going in later, it's going to probably just coincide right along with that.
Ironically, I'll put this out there. You can stay in the reserves up until 62 years of age as
Yeah.
well.
See, this is why I love this show, because I mean, there's just so much more that there's even so much more that we haven't even talked about. But we're over an hour here. I love it. And I can't tell you both thank you enough for coming on. I mean, anybody can see you. So I'd like to take this time again to introduce yourself, what you do, how they can get a hold of you, or even reach out to any type of recruiter. If you could start off, Sergeant Celeste.
Absolutely. For me, the best part, I'm a social media guy, always there trying to post information, whether I post a meme, whether I post something serious. It's always my intent is to get people the knowledge, what the military does, like programs, jobs, opportunities, bonuses. So absolutely, they can hit me up in this my Instagram, which is Salas underscore Staff Sergeant, like SSG
Okay.
underscore U.S. Army. And pretty much that's, I love it. Any interaction that I have with my applicants, leads, whoever hit me out, just having a conversation with me, it's cool. We are located, if they are local, right? We are located in Mechanicsburg Recruiting Station. They can just
Right.
Google it like that, Pennsylvania. And then we also basically work digitally, virtually, right? So nowadays, we can recruit anywhere in the States. It doesn't matter where you are.
Really?
We can make it work. Yeah.
I love it. Wow. Was everything virtual? This,
Exactly. It's a new era right now. Like a lot of people is taking advantage of that. A lot of recruiters are moving forward with that.
that
It's
makes
easier for the
sense.
recruit. For the recruit, it's kind of tough work. For the
Right.
recruit, it's super easy. super easy.
Now, do
Because
you
they don't have like a lot of people they're scared. They don't want to go to a recruiting station. Oh, I don't want to talk to a recruiter because I'm gonna get there. They're gonna sign me a contract. No, we can do that here. Don't worry about it. But if we do it virtually and they want to have a conversation with us, they just have to reach out on Instagram or hit me a call, and we start the process right away. We don't have to wait till you come to the station. We can start wherever you at. We can start the process.
Okay. Are you going to make the Army your career now, or you've been in 8 years, or what's your goals there?
Absolutely. I'm currently going to take advantage of the visa program. I'm going to start my visa classes next week, raise my score, and then I'm trying to join the cohort of warrant officers. We'll see what happens.
All right, awesome. And Sergeant Rogers, please, talk about yourself and what you do, and how they can get a hold of you, and we'll go from there.
Absolutely, Dave. Thank you again. This is a blessing. So I'm Sergeant First Class Rogers. I've been recruiting for 10 years. I've been traveling from the East Coast all the way to the West Coast. I got a lot of experience. You can always reach me at 223-877-2317. Like Sergeant Sal says, we can work anybody from anywhere in the country. It doesn't matter. I will add, though, that if you're in a flurry program, Hispanic, or you're struggling, reach out to Sergeant Salas. He is by far one of the best I've ever seen at this.
Nice.
It's cool to work next to him.
And I'll put all that stuff in the comments after the show. I'll put all your contact information, because now knowing that's awesome. Some people they see a real person and they want to talk to you. They'll want to talk to you. But
oh yeah, we always do stuff like this, David.
I love it. The QR codes, everything, right?
Yeah, that's it.
I love it. So talk about yourself. You have a couple more years left only, or what are you going to do?
So for me, it all depends. I have kids that range from so my youngest is 4, my oldest is 14. So I don't want to say I love the Army, but I don't hate the Army, if that makes sense at all. Yeah, it's a perfect blend for family time. I don't miss a single event.
Nice.
I have bosses that listen, or supervisors, they're leaders, because we serve by servant leadership. And because of that, they ask me, hey, what do you need to be successful? And you don't see that anywhere. I'll never be rich. But I'll never need for anything either. So Sergeant Salas says, find something you're passionate about and something you enjoy. And that's why I'm probably still in recruiting, and why I can say I'm here today.
That's why I liked how you said, Sergeant Salas, about get to know what do you want? What do you need? Like when you go down there, like we talked about the officers and enlisted and everything like that, just think about it. Be honest. Like I try to tell my son when he comes down to see you, just talk away, what you want to talk about, and be honest. And I think once they build that rapport with the recruiter, that's one of the best parts of it, because you're the last ones that they see that are normal. That last day, see you later. I'll never forget all that. So, but again, I'm hoping to have you guys back again. I just love this, and thank you both for your service again. And we're going to be in touch. I'm going to play the video out here again, everybody. I'll put all the contact information on the comments section after this. And yeah, it's an hour and 7 minutes, so that's a nice show. So I'll be definitely talking to you both again. All right.
Awesome. Thank you, David.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.